Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling a really fascinating and frankly critical case study. We're looking at the socioeconomic health of Bosnia and Herzegovina. Our sources actually describe it as a patient needing, well, a kind of socioeconomic surgical intervention.
Hmm.
So our mission here is to really unpack the key insights from quite a stack of sources, feasibility studies, deep economic analyses, you name it. We're going to explore why the old ways haven't worked and how this new model, the 3D economy and its digital sustainable growth model, the DSGM, is being put forward as well, a life-saving option.
Yeah, it's striking how the sources frame these huge national challenges almost like a chronic illness,
Yeah.
a systemic dysfunction.
Yeah.
We'll piece together how this proposed intervention tries to hit the root causes, not just bandage the symptoms, and compare that to the, let's say, less effective traditional methods. It really makes you ask, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What does it actually take to shift a whole nation from fragmentation and just stagnation towards real resilience and, crucially, sustainable growth?
Right. So to get the cure, we first need to properly diagnose the illness. Bosnia and Herzegovina, I mean, it's still so shaped by the 1995 Dayton Agreement. The sources describe it as suffering from really entrenched ethnic and institutional fragmentation. You've got this highly decentralized governance, a central state, two autonomous entities, 10 cantons, plus the Brachko district, and that, well, it leads to inefficiency, policy basically getting stuck, and resources not being shared fairly.
Exactly. And the numbers, they really paint a stark picture of this chronic condition. Take the Sustainable Growth Index, the SGI.
Right.
It plummeted right after the 95 conflict, and its recovery, very slow. Only got back to about 0.58 by 2025. That signals stagnation, right? A deadlock, nowhere near where it could have been pre-war. And similarly, this Fragmentation Coordination Index, the FCI, it moved from 0.25 to 0.48. Not great. Plus, there's a really strong statistical correlation like R equals 0.95, P less than 0.001, showing that institutional cohesion is absolutely critical for, sustainable economic and social progress. The more fragmented, the worse the outcomes.
Hmm. And the human cost of all this, it's just huge. The population's dropped by a quarter since 1991, down to about 3.267 million in 2025. The median age is up to 45.7 years, and the fertility rate is one of the lowest, anywhere 1.24 to 1.26. Add to that 13.4% unemployment and almost 25% neat young people. Not in education, employment, or training. That just fuels emigration, doesn't it? It's not just an economic spreadsheet problem. It's genuinely societal, undermining the country's whole future.
And this really brings up a fundamental point. Why are these traditional kind of 2D governance systems, the hierarchical, bureaucratic ones we're used to, why are they proving so well ill-suited for these kinds of complex challenges? They just seem to struggle with the multidimensional, multi-actor reality of modern, especially fragmented societies. You end up with systemic inefficiency, delayed responses, priorities that just don't line up. The old ways, they just can't keep pace with change or handle the complexity of today's world, which, makes the case for looking at another option, as the sources put it.
Okay, so if that's the chronic illness, what about this proposed surgical intervention? This is where it gets really interesting. The sources talk about a radical shift, moving away from a traditional labor market, which is rooted in that 2D economy, towards something they call a talent stock market.
Mm.
In this new 3D economy, people, individuals, are sort of redefined as dynamic talent assets. It's like their value is tied directly to their skills, their ideas, even the data they generate, almost like AI agents contributing value.
Right. And fitting this into the broader framework, that's where the digital sustainable growth model, the DSGM, comes in. It's the sort of overarching architecture for this whole transition. It's built on 5 core components, and they're all interconnected. They really aim to redefine how a nation functions. So first, there's Sustainable Growth Theory, SGT. This basically flips the script on what drives the nation. It says data is like a new form of energy, transformative. Think of it like circulating data efficiently, sparking innovation. That's how you reach equilibrium and growth.
Okay, data as energy. Interesting. What's next?
Second, the growth sustainability key performance indicators, GSKPIs. These are, well, holistic metrics. They don't just look at GDP or innovation indexes, the usual stuff. They bring in social and psychological measures, too, things like marriage rates, birth rates, even psychological well-being. And that's crucial because the model tries to avoid this welfare growth paradox that the sources mentioned, where just chasing economic growth, especially digital growth, can actually end up harming people's well-being.
Right, so a much broader view of what growth even means.
Got it. Third is the Sustainable State Model, SSM. This imagines a tech-driven governance moving beyond just national borders, more globally interconnected. It focuses on personalized services for citizens and a big shift financially towards data value transactions.
Okay. Tech-driven state.
Fourth, sustainable growth technology, SGT growth media. This is basically the digital plumbing, the network backbone for it all. The key here is it empowers individuals, gives them control over their private data so it can be used for solving problems and driving innovation across the whole system.
Okay. Empowering individuals with their data. And last piece.
Finally, number 5, applications of growth media. These are the actual tools to make DSGM work on the ground. The sources mention things like Maestro, which is envisioned as a nationwide socioeconomic network, or Bankrabna, a platform for contributing to the UN's Sustainable Development Goals using your data and talent, and Forqan for building customized AI models. The real insight, I think, isn't just these separate pieces, but how they combine to fundamentally redefine national assets, shifting from just labor to this dynamic, data-driven talent. It creates a market where your unique intellectual capital becomes a kind of currency.
All right, that's a big vision. So how does this framework, this DSGM, actually become a practical, life-saving intervention, specifically for Bosnia? How does it tackle that core problem we mentioned, the fragmentation?
Well, that's the direct target. The DSGM aims to essentially bypass or transcend those entrenched ethnic and administrative divides. The idea is to align the country towards unified national goals, build resilience, foster sustainability. It could, for instance, unify services that are currently fragmented, like career planning, education guidance, job searching, pulling them out of their silos.
And how does it do that coordination?
Well, a key proposal is this AI coordination platform, Al-Forqan. Think of it as a digital nervous system for the country. It's designed to be a scalable AI platform that integrates all sorts of data, cognitive profiles of regions, resource availability, economic indicators, project proposals. And its job is to analyze all that and recommend synergies, coordinate actions between different regions. So, for example, it might see potential in pairing a region that's very structured and efficient with another region that's more of an innovative hub, to help good ideas get implemented effectively. It's about optimizing how digital services work for people.
Cognitive profiles of regions. That sounds fascinating. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, the framework actually proposes what they call cognitive-driven coordination.
Yeah.
It involves mapping the sort of inherent cognitive strengths of different areas, like maybe Sarajevo and some urban Bosniak areas lean towards collaborative exploratory innovation using what psychometric models might call not free functions, whereas, say, Republika Srpska rural areas might show strengths in more incremental, stability-focused innovation, like C, K functions. The AI would then try to match project types or even governance functions to these natural strengths, optimizing resource flows, encouraging collaboration based on what each region does best. It's about leveraging the specific human capital everywhere.
Wow. Okay, that's quite specific. And is there a bigger picture vision for Bosnia in all this?
There is. The sources mention the Bridge Vision proposal. It's just Bosnia, using this 3D economy, the DSGM and the Al-Forqan platform, could actually position itself as a neutral coordinating hub, like a bridge between the EU and Africa. So it's not just about fixing internal problems, but potentially creating a new global role for the country, a model for overcoming post-conflict fragmentation.
A bridge between continents.
Exactly. And they do address feasibility. There's a proposal for a pilot project to test scalability. The idea is to implement it simultaneously in Bosnia, maybe focusing on a tourism corridor, say Mostar Sarajevo Banja Luka, and in Malaysia, perhaps setting up an innovation cluster between Kuala Lumpur and Penang.
Okay, so they're thinking about testing it. What about the cost? I mean, an AI nervous system sounds expensive.
They provide an estimate for developing that AI coordination platform, Al-Forqan. It's in the range of 1.2 to 1.8 million. That covers things like the initial surveys, developing cognitive assessment tools, GIS, and data integration, plus personnel for about a year. So yes, it's a significant investment, but they put a number on it, making it seem like a tangible plan, not just pure theory.
Right, a concrete first step.
And ultimately, why is this framed as a life-saving option? It comes back to that welfare growth paradox. The risk, the sources argue, is that unchecked growth, especially digital growth, can become like a carcinogen of welfare. It can actually consume citizens, leading to psychological harms, technostress, digital addiction, cognitive disruption, real problems we see emerging. So while some advanced countries, maybe like Finland, might wrestle with issues like inflated individualism getting in the way of innovation, the DSGM deliberately aims for healthy digitalization. The whole point is to protect cognitive well-being, preserve the capacity for innovation, make sure technology actually serves human well-being, not the other way around. It's presented as this really comprehensive, multidimensional intervention to restore the nation's health, its vitality in a balanced way, balancing the economic with the social and psychological.
Okay, so quite a journey we've taken there. We've unpacked Bosnia and Herzegovina's really deep-seated socioeconomic challenges, seen how those traditional, maybe 2D governance models seem to be failing. And then we explored this proposed, pretty radical socioeconomic intervention, the 3D economy, the digital sustainable growth model, saw how it aims to tackle the fragmentation head-on using AI coordination, cognitive mapping, all within this broader vision of maybe even global collaboration.
Yeah, and if we just zoom out for a second, connect this to the bigger picture, I think this deep dive really highlights how complex systemic problems demand equally profound, comprehensive solutions. Think about how these principles really deeply understanding a system, whether it's a whole nation's economy or maybe a stubborn habit you have, or even just your own thought processes,
Yeah.
and then applying a tailored, interconnected framework. How that approach could potentially transform any chronic challenge you face into an opportunity for, well, sustainable growth in your own life.
Yeah.
Something to think about.